Hey guys, this is Jason from MainstreamGeek.com, and you're listening to the Mainstream Geek Podcast for March 7th, 2016. This show's going to be pretty Sony-tastic. We're going to be talking about Venom and the Spider-Man franchise, 21 Jump Street and the Men in Black crossover, more thoughts on the Ghostbusters trailer, and a Dark Tower movie, which is going to lead us into a talk about Stephen King movies. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. We got AJ with us.
Nice to be back.
Yeah. Just a reminder at the beginning of the show, as always, if you haven't subscribed to the show on whatever service you're listening on, please make sure you do that. And after you do that, it's really easy just to go to review and ratings tab, or however they do it in your app, and push a rating and leave me a review. It helps me grow in the ratings, helps me grow my audience, helps more people hear the show, which is what, inevitably, that's what doing this is all about, having people hear, or else you're just talking to yourself in a green bedroom in your house.
Also, what color this is?
I bought this house 4 years ago, and I did all. It's a really long story, but I had to paint all of the rooms in like one day. Yeah. So I didn't sleep for like 24 hours. I painted every room in the house myself in one day. But yeah, this is green, I guess is what you call it. Kind of a turd green.
Cement green.
Yeah. If the light's on, it's a little greener. But also, if you're trying to get into the world of collectibles, I know we did our unboxing of the Nerd Block last week. But you don't have a lot of money to drop on getting into collectibles, consider going to mainstreamgeek.com/nerdblock. It helps the show out, and it helps you get what you want. And you deserve something nice in your life. You deserve a little surprise once a month. Plans start out at... Shit, I should really know this off the top of my head. $15.99 a month.
Sounds like you're selling insurance.
Yeah, I think it's $15.99 a month for... That's if you buy the year-long package at a time. But you can get yourself something nice, and you can help out the show. With that, let's just jump into the show and get going on things. There's not a lot to talk about this week in the world of movies.
It was a slow news week.
Yeah, but even with this kind of news, there's always something to bitch about, or at least ponder on.
Oh yeah, you can always complain.
Yeah. And this week, we're going to be talking about a lot of Sony stuff.
It's the Sony Spectacular.
Yeah, the... big news, I guess it's big news, would you call it big news, is that they're dropping, well, they dropped the news that they're going to continue making the Venom movie that they planned on making back when the Amazing Spider-Man universe, they were trying to create that back in 2012. Was that when that movie came out?
Which one?
The first Amazing Spider-Man came out, and then 2014 was Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, and then... But they're going to do it without Spider-Man in the movie. So this Venom movie is not going to be connected to Spider-Man in any way.
And I think if I was reading it right, it's not even going to be like part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe in any way.
Right. But that's what I'm confused on. Were you confused about that? Because how are they able to do that? Because
yeah, that's the main reason I wanted to talk about it, because I didn't really understand, because they said that they could use Spider-Man and all of his villains and everything.
Yeah, because Marvel's letting them use their heroes in their movies.
Spider-Man movies, yeah.
Yeah. So it's Sony, so God knows how they do anything they do. But they are somehow going to make a Venom movie without allowing Spider-Man to be in it. That way, Marvel, I'm guessing, so they can't share the profits of that movie.
Yeah, or have any creative input or anything like that.
So there must have been some kind of weird deal behind the scenes. Like we talked about the other weird deal on Friday, where Sony won't let them use Spider-Man in any of the marketing for Captain America: Civil War. So what do you think is the reason behind? Do you think that there's even a point in making a Venom movie without Spider-Man? I mean, Spider-Man is how Venom comes to be. You can't create Venom without Spider-Man, without Peter Parker at a minimum.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the reasoning behind it is. The only thing I could think of would be just spite, pretty much.
Yeah.
Just to be like, well, we still have these properties that we can make, and if we don't include Spider-Man, then you don't have any creative input or anything to say about it.
So that's what you're saying, that you think that's the deal, that they pretty much just said, you can use Spider-Man, but we still get to keep all the other property that comes along with Spider-Man.
Maybe they had a deal where, like, if Spider-Man is involved, then Marvel can have input and be involved, but if he's not, then I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me, because it's going to be really confusing.
Why wouldn't they let Marvel have input on anything they do? I mean, Marvel literally knocks it out of the park every single time.
I know, that's exactly why they made the deal for Spider-Man in the first place, was because they were just destroying their own Spider-Man universe.
I read the other day that, speaking of Marvel being the only one that knocks out of the park pretty much. We haven't seen the DC universe yet, but
Yeah.
as of right now, Marvel is the one to go with. That Marvel is the only one that is really recognizing that not everything needs to be R-rated. Marvel announced the other day that they're not going to do any. They put the kibosh on the idea that there will be R-rated Marvel superhero movies.
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah,
I think that might have as much to do with Disney as Marvel, though.
well, yeah, either
But
way,
either way, yeah, it's the same thing.
they're not falling into the trap of like everything's going to be this now.
Yeah.
So they're pretty much the only studio with this genre that has any sense about them at this point. When you say,
and a pretty much perfect track record too.
Yeah.
I mean, there have been a few okay, maybe one stinker in there, but
the Marvel movies are always
they're pretty formulaic.
they range from like great down to okay.
Yeah,
like
it's fine.
that was like Iron Man 3. You know, I don't hate the movie, but like it's
Iron Man 2 is probably my least favorite.
Which one is Iron Man 2?
The one with I don't remember his name, the Russian dude. Shocking
Whiplash.
Yeah.
Whiplash, that's his name. Yeah, so that one wasn't great. So only one of the Iron Man movies has been actually great.
Yeah, which is funny because he's the most popular character.
The other ones have just, and one of the only Iron Man 3 is did that one make it? That one's the one that made $1 billion, right?
Yeah, I think that's the highest grossing standalone Marvel movie.
So I have no idea as to why Sony wouldn't want to let Marvel have any input on a Venom movie. That seems like they're like, hey, they know what they're doing. We should let them in on this.
Especially now that they have new leadership there too, right? There's a new president of the film division.
Yeah, but here's the weird thing about that. After you sent me the story about Venom, I read into it. I forget Kathleen Kennedy's from Star Wars, but whoever the lady is,
Amy something.
Yeah, it is Amy something. She resigned as president after the big Sony hack a couple years ago, or a year and a half ago. But she is going to stay. The only thing she has anything to do with is staying on as a producer for the Spider-Man movies. She made sure to stay on for that, so she is part of the whole thing.
Makes sense then.
Amy Pascal, that's her name. Amy Pascal. Let's talk about the last time they brought Venom into the whole mix, which was with Spider-Man 3 from the original trilogy, right?
That hot mess of a movie.
My God. Everyone saw this movie. It made, I don't know how much it made. I think it made, hold on, I had it a little bit ago. It made $890 million, which is the most profitable movie of all of the Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
And it was by far the worst.
Sony's probably highest profitable movie ever.
It was so bad that's why they stopped making that original trilogy.
Uh-huh.
But it's not really, though, because they were going to make a part 4. It's just that it fell so far apart because Sam Raimi was just so mad about how they made the execs got in and made him add Venom. He didn't want Venom in that movie in the first place.
I don't think he wanted half the villains they put in the movie.
Especially Topher Grace as Venom. How the fuck does that even happen?
I don't know. I really didn't hate his performance of it. I just thought the character was handled very poorly and very rushed. And
the skinny little guy. Venom's this giant dude. Even when he's
Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man, though.
What do you mean?
I mean, he's. I don't know. I never really liked Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker.
I never liked him as an actor, really.
None of the casting in any of those movies, the Raimi movies, was that great to me.
But let's so from that we got the new Spider-Man franchise, which was the Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield.
First one I thought was
great.
Good. I loved it.
Yeah, it was a great start. You could see where it was going, and it had the lizard in it, which was going to be the villain in Spider-Man 4 had they made that. So they kept that around. But then they made Spider-Man 2, and that one came out. Spider-Man 1 came out in 2012. Amazing Spider-Man 1 came out in 2012. And then it was a success. And then into that same year, the Avengers came out, and they saw that, oh my God, we can make this big superhero universe. So they got greedy, just like the R-rated thing. These studios love to jump on these bandwagons.
Well, they did the exact same thing they did with Spider-Man 3, and tried to shoehorn in 3 different villains into the same movie.
Well, not only that, they shoehorned in the idea of the shared universe. They really pushed that.
Oh yeah, with the whole Sinister Six. Set up and all that stuff.
But they also came out with this crazy slate of movies that they didn't have dates for them, but they announced all of these movies that they were going to make in this Spider-Man universe. So I looked those up, and I didn't realize there were so many that they were planning to make in a 4-year period of time.
Yeah, there were like 5 or 6.
No, there's more than that. There's
there?
13.
Oh, man.
They planned in a 5-year because they were going to have different universes within a universe that all linked up together. Get this. I'm going to go through
I probably only heard a half of these then if I thought there were 5 or 6.
I thought there was going to be a Venom and a Sinister Six movie plus continuing Spider-Man movies. That's what I thought.
I knew they were talked about like a Spider-Girl movie too, but...
So Amazing Spider-Man 2 was going to be followed with Venom in 2017, which looks like it's still going to happen, just not along the same plot line. That was going to be followed in 2018 with Sinister Six, which...
I didn't know that one.
Would have been cool because they did kind of set it all up at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2 with all of the equipment that the villains would be using. That you had Dr. Octopus, Electro, Kraven, Mysterio, Green Goblin, which should have been Hobgoblin according to the comic books, but whatever. That's nitpicking really. And the Vulture, and we saw their equipment in that room at the end of the movie.
Wasn't that also the movie that Drew Goddard left Daredevil to go make Sinister Six?
Oh, I thought it was...
And that fell through, too?
I thought it happened where he was going to be doing the Sinister Six, and he left that to go do Daredevil.
I think it was the other way around.
Was the other way around?
Stephen DeKnight ended up doing the Daredevil.
Oh, yeah, you're right. And he's going to be doing the new Pacific Rim movie, right?
Yeah, the second one.
But after the Sinister Six movie, they were going to make a little sub-universe inside of this called the Glass Ceiling movies. You know what the Glass Ceiling is?
Yeah.
Okay, for those of you who don't know, it's a really sexist term to describe women climbing the corporate ladder. Is that the right way of saying it? Where you can see how high you can go, but there's just a ceiling that kind of stops you at a certain point.
Pretty much saying women and pretty much all minorities will be able to see the top, but they'll never get there.
But it was revealed in that Sony hack, in those emails that were released, that they were calling this the Glass Ceiling universe of the Spider-Man universe, which gets really confusing when you say universe that many times. That's seriously what they were doing. Those movies included Agent May, which would have came out in 2016, which would have been
wasn't it the Aunt May?
The Aunt May spinoff. Then there would have been a Black Cat movie with Felicia Hardy, which is played by Felicity Jones.
They did set that up in the second.
They did, but how weak of a movie would that have been? She was in that movie for maybe all of 5 minutes.
Yeah.
They didn't explain anything about who she was. She happened to be the assistant of Harry Osborn, right? Is that who she was?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. So she was going to have her own movie. Then in 2017, a year after the first Aunt May movie, and the same year as the Black Cat movie, they were going to have Agent May from Brooklyn with Love. I'm not joking around about this.
Are you sure this wasn't like a
troll? I looked it up in like on 3 different sources. I made sure of this before.
Oh my god!
Yeah, and then a year after that, they're going to have the final installment in the Aunt May series called Agent May: The Ant Ultimatum.
Ugh.
That's a real thing.
I want to know this pitch that got them to commit to 3 Aunt May movies.
That's not even it. They also had a female Spider-Verse character. There are like 4 different female Spider-Man characters in the comic books.
Yeah, I think that's the one I was talking about, the Spider-Girl or whatever. The female-led one.
So they're going to have a movie with all of them. Then they also had plans, and they didn't get moving on these. The Glass Ceiling movies, they actually got moving on. But according to the emails, they also had a idea for a Black Spider-Man movie verse. Get the names of these. The first one was going to be called Black Spider-Man. And that was just the working title in these emails, but that's what they were calling it.
Like Black Costume Spider-Man or like Black Actor Spider-Man?
I'm not clear on that. But in the emails, they were called Black Spider-Man.
It's a terrible title either way.
Yeah,
but.
because there is a African-American Spider-Man in the comic books, Miles Morales.
Yeah.
But he's just Spider-Man. He's not called Black Spider-Man.
No, yeah, there's no Peter Parker still.
But that was going to be in 2017, which means in 2017 we would have had 3 Spider-Man movies come out. Then there would be another one in 2018, a Black Spider-Man 2, is what they called it. And then they also said in the emails, in 2020, they wanted to have Black Spider-Man Returns. That was a serious thing that they were going to put out. And then they had
and yet still have just the regular Amazing Spider-Man still going through all of this?
Yeah, that was going to be the tie. That was going to be the tie through all of these. Then they had a series of other movies called Spider-Man Free, which is a kind of alternate universe to show the exact same world, just what if Spider-Man was like, so what if all of these villains still existed, but Spider-Man wasn't there to help everybody? And they were called Spider-Man Free, 2017, 2018, and 2020, all called Spider-Man Free 2, We Need a Hero, and Spider-Man Free 3, Everything is on Fire. And then, on top of that, do you remember a few years ago they had that, there's a Broadway play of Spider-Man with U2 that did the score for it. Well, they were going to turn that into a movie that was supposed to come out in 2018 called Turn Off the Dart.
Yeah, that's what the musical was called.
Yeah, so that's what they're going to do there. What the fuck is Sony thinking? They're going to continue this shit.
Well, I think that's why they decided to be like... Because I remember they were talking about having like the Spider-Man Summit or whatever, where everyone was going to get together and figure out what to do. If that was what came out of that summit...
This was before the summit. This is before... Because this all came out in the emails that were leaked from Sony.
Okay.
And the summit happened as a result of
all that.
Spider-Man, quote-unquote... It didn't fail, but not doing what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
But... They are going to continue with the Venom movie, which makes me wonder, are all of these other movies still on the table also?
I hope not, but I also kind of have a morbid curiosity to just see the beautiful disaster that it could create.
What
is the Spider-Man free? Like, what is that?
Okay,
what are those movies going to be?
It was like
just villains destroying things.
Yeah, and then and people realizing that they needed somebody like Spider-Man in the world just with no Spider-Man, they were never going to get it unless
that's like half of one movie, and then you bring Spider-Man, and you don't make 3 separate movies with no resolution.
I would assume that Spider-Man Free would be the introduction of this whole storyline, and I would assume that Spider-Man Free 2 would be We Need a Hero is what it's called, would be the idea of Spider-Man's coming along, and then Spider-Man 3 Free 3 would be, it's called Everything is on Fire, and I would assume that that's where we actually get Spider-Man into the whole situation. So, I don't know. I'm glad it didn't happen, but I am kind of worried that since they're doing Venom in such a weird way, if they are going to continue with these movies in that way, because apparently they can. If they're going to do Venom without Spider-Man,
yeah, who knows?
And Marvel's not shutting that down, because Marvel's pretty protective about their properties. Mm-hmm. And anything they're involved with and putting their name on. It's just I don't see how Marvel could stop them if they aren't going to be able to stop them with this. Now that Venom thing is brand new news, and it is just something that they're starting to work on. So maybe we'll get the real news on it later, and it might. But this doesn't sound like something that's far from what Sony would do.
Yeah, it sounds right up their alley.
They're also Sony's also talking about making another rehash of an old series, Men in Black, and mixing it with 21 Jump Street. What's his name? Jonah Hill?
Jonah Hill and
Channing Tatum. And making that into so it's going to be a mixed universe with 21 Jump Street and Men in Black. My God.
That one I could actually see working in a weird, convoluted, crazy comedy way.
Okay. I'm not disagreeing with you on that, but it does feel like it has more potential to be bad.
Oh, no, yeah, for sure.
The 21 Jump Street movies, I actually enjoy both of those movies, yeah. And I can't remember Men in Black 1 and 2 separately, but I do remember kind of liking them when I was a kid.
1 is very good. I think it still holds up. It's really, really well done, but 2 and definitely 3.
3 is awful. Hey, that's the one Josh Brolin in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's bad.
Young K or whatever. But yeah, 2 is not much better than that.
So, pretty much Sony's new thing that they're doing is taking old properties and just throwing. It really does feel like they have a dartboard and they're just throwing darts and saying, okay, well those two just landed together. We're gonna go with that.
Well, they don't have too many franchises, so I think they're just kind of like.
Do they have any?
Well, I mean, obviously, whatever all these movies that they're trying to make are.
Yeah.
But it feels like they're just like, which ones can we combine to make maybe a new franchise that can make us $1 billion?
This won't make $1 billion. I'll tell you.
No, there's no way.
There's no way the Venom movie is going to make $1 billion. Nobody cares about a Venom story that doesn't include Spider-Man.
No, actually, yeah. So I have no idea what they're going to end up doing. But the Men in Black and 21 Jump Street thing, the only thing that, it's stupid either way. But I'm not super looking forward to it. But the thing that worries me about it, if that's even a phrase I can use, is that Phil Lord and Miller are not involved in this one.
Oh, right, and they made the 21 Jump Street movies.
Yeah, they made 21 and 22.
Those guys, everything they touch turns to gold.
Oh, yeah, Lego movie, everything.
They're doing Han Solo, right?
Yeah, that's why they left
all
this stuff, because they were going to do an animated Spider-Man, too. That was another one that they were going
to
make.
I thought they were still involved with the animated Spider-Man.
I don't think so. I think they were just going to write it, but I think they completely left it to work on
I guess you
Han
have
Solo
to
fully,
work on Han Solo, yeah.
So that's the only concern I would have, is that nobody involved in making the original 2 are involved in this one.
So you said you could see this one kind of being... In what capacity does this movie come out and you watch it and you that worked? What kind of story would you see that since you said...
I mean, they're both just crazy, non-realistic in any way. So as long as the story is semi-cohesive, I guess, and as long as it's funny, like, that's the biggest part. As long as it's funny and it makes me laugh throughout the whole thing, I'm not going to knock it too much because it's not meant to be something
I guess you're right.
serious.
I mean, like, a movie like that, you are really pretty much walking in just as long as it's not awful. Yeah. As long as you get some chuckles out of it.
Yeah, you just have to leave your...
Yeah, you turn your brain off for at 2 hours.
At the door, yeah.
Yeah. And also, we talked about this on Friday, but AJ wasn't here on Friday's show. So let's talk about it with you right now. Let's not go too crazy. We can spend a few minutes on it, but, like, the Ghostbusters trailer. This is another Sony movie that's coming out. It's another reboot. What were your thoughts on the whole thing?
Well, my initial first thoughts were, what did I just watch?
Yeah.
And then I sent a text to all the guys in the nerd thread asking if all of you had seen the terrible, terrible trailer. Because I had originally woken up and seen that it dropped on Twitter and saw a couple different people's reactions, like a couple like movie critics, and from everything on Twitter, it looked like people were really liking it.
Really?
Yeah, the first initial thoughts that I saw were like, oh, this looks so funny, like, great new Ghostbusters trailer.
That must have been early in the day, right?
I think it was, yeah, before everyone started realizing, like,
yeah,
this is not what we thought it was going to be.
Right now, I listened to another podcast called Movie Fights by Screen Junkies, and I was listening to it today when I was grocery shopping, and they said that on YouTube, the video has like 20,000 thumbs up, but it has like 67,000 thumbs down. Yeah, so it's pretty much universally, before it's even out, everybody hates it. And it could be a fine movie. Don't you think?
It's just a trailer, so...
The trailer
could just be a really bad trailer.
Abysmal, though.
It's real bad.
It's
misleading, first of all.
Yeah, it is. Because they make it seem like it is connected to the old movies, right?
Yeah, it's like 30 years ago, the group of people found all these, whatever...
They fought ghosts, and they saved the city.
And it's making up like, this is the continuation, but it's not. It's just...
Not at all.
It's just a complete reboot.
And they also show the old... this is actually a problem I had on Friday, but I watched the trailer again with my wife, and I saw something I didn't notice before. In the trailer, they show the old firehouse, as if that's going to be their headquarters.
Is that a clip from the old one?
No, it looks like a new clip. Like I think they just show the old firehouse in the movie for whatever reason.
Oh, okay.
But I don't think they're using that as their headquarters. I think that after watching the trailer for a second time, I think that their headquarters is in a Chinese food restaurant.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because when they pull up in the car, in the hearse, they're coming out of a Chinese food restaurant. When they pull the hearse out after it has its paint job, they're pulling out of a garage next to a Chinese food restaurant.
Oh, okay.
And when the part with the power of Christ compels you and she slaps her, which, by the way...
The worst part of the trailer.
They're presenting that woman in a terribly racist way.
Sure.
My God. They're above a Chinese food restaurant. Yeah, she's not funny. Well, I don't think she's very funny to begin with.
Yeah, she's not my favorite.
Yeah. She's a one-note comedic actress.
Yeah, the whole last 30 seconds of that trailer was completely unnecessary.
Yeah. Did you watch that the fan re-edit of...
I did.
Isn't that better?
So much better. That whole sequence we were just talking about is not in it.
Yeah.
Which is why it's better. But I mean, overall, it's just cut together a lot better.
Also, for a comedy movie, the jokes, if they're trying to sell a comedy movie, they're not putting jokes in the movie and the trailer very well.
No, I think they thought they were.
Even for a let's just use a movie that's stupid comedy, say Joe Dirt. When a movie like that comes out, they know to pick the A jokes out of that, even though that's the only jokes they have in the movie. You walk in, you've already heard all the jokes.
Yeah, you got to get people to go see it, though.
But just to make sure people go see it, they put the A jokes in there. So if these are the A jokes for that movie...
Yeah. The only way I could see it not being is that they're like, this is Ghostbusters. We had a big name behind this movie. We don't need to put the A jokes in there. So maybe it's my last kind of semblance of hope is that they put like the real bad jokes in the trailer just because they know people are going to, or they thought people were going to see it just because it's Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
But they really turned a lot of people off with that first trailer. So
I can't even say right now. I know I like to go see movies if they're like in my spectrum of movies I like to watch, but I can't even say right now that I'm going to go see this one in theaters.
Yeah, as of right now, I have no interest in it.
I'm saving my money on that
hopefully,
one.
Yeah. Maybe they'll release a much better second trailer, but...
Okay, so we've got that little corridor of what is Sony thinking done with So let's move on to something to where maybe it might be okay. Let's talk about the Dark Tower franchise. Have you ever read the book of the Dark Tower?
I've read the first one.
Oh, it's a series of books.
Oh yeah, there's like 7 of them.
So this is going to be a franchise of movies.
It's like Stephen King's like magnum opus.
Oh no
like,
shit!
Connecting all of his most of his stories together. It's like a giant sprawling Stephen King universe.
So does it
epic story? Does
it include like The Stand and it contains all of those in it?
I don't know which ones are in it technically. Like I said, I only read the first one, so I've just read a little bit about like it. From what I've read, that's just what they say is that it is like kind of like all in the same universe and kind of pulls in parts from all of his different stories.
But it's going to be coming out they moved the date on it. It's going because they're starting shooting in a couple weeks now. They got Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey signed on.
Who's directing it? Does it say?
I don't know. I don't have that here.
I didn't see that.
Probably nobody of note. I would guess.
Yeah.
Or else that would have been the big news. But they got Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey. Idris Elba's going to be playing the hero Roland Deschain. Is that how you say his name?
Deschain, yeah.
Yeah. And then Matthew McConaughey's going to be called the Man in Black.
Uh-huh.
Sony's loving this Man in Black thing these days. So are you at all interested in this? I know you had it in your show notes that you sent to me.
I am,
you asked
actually.
a question. Are we interested?
I am actually interested in this. Do you know like the story of what it was originally going to be? Like, because this was originally supposed to be made like 5 years ago.
I know nothing about this, so this is okay. You're the expert here.
Yeah, like 5 years ago, it was in the works. It was going to be directed by Ron Howard, and it was going to be It was going to be a trilogy coming out every 2 years, I think. But it was going to be a cross-platform thing that he did with Jerry Bruckheimer, like he does with his TV shows. And they were going to do like the first film, and they were going to do like a 13-episode TV season with all the same actors and everything. Then the second movie, then another TV season, and then the third movie to kind of cap it all off.
Oh, okay.
So they had I don't remember what studio it was with.
What's with Sony now?
It might have been Sony. It might have still been Sony, I don't know.
So they might have had because Sony does a lot of stuff with AMC, so it might have been like an AMC series in between each movie.
Yeah, it probably would have been. But yeah. So they had a huge plan for it back in the day.
That would have been a huge mistake, I think.
And then it all kind of just got tied up in development and never came to fruition.
Wouldn't it have been a bad idea to make a movie to where you're depending on fans to watch the movie and then making sure they watch a season of a movie before the next? Because it's a lot of work to keep up with TV series in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's probably why it ended up falling apart. But I think they probably just thought that, like, trying to make those 7 books or 8 book, however many it is, into 3 movies would be really because they're like big books.
They're not going to make 7 movies. I'll tell you that much. Right? There's no way they're making 7.
You never know. I mean, if the first one hits real big.
Wait, Harry Potter made like 7 movies, didn't they?
They made 8 movies.
8. Well, 7 books.
7 books into 8 movies.
Yeah, 7 books and 8 movies.
So you never know, but I don't think Stephen King books are quite as broad of an audience.
Yeah,
as like Harry Potter's.
Well, they're making it. Is that the one with the clown? It, yeah. They're making that into a 2-part movie with the guy that made The Conjuring. What's his name? He also directed Fast and Furious movies, and he's directing something else. Oh, Aquaman.
James Wan.
James Wan, yeah. I think he's directing the It movie. It's a 2-part movie that's coming out.
Yeah, it was originally supposed to be Cary Fukunaga.
Oh, maybe that's who it is. Maybe I'm just being super racist
that was
right
who
now.
It was supposed to be.
Oh, okay.
And then he dropped out because he had creative differences
Gotcha.
or whatever, and then James Wan came on.
So Stephen King's got a lot going on right now in the world of movies. You wanted to talk about Stephen King movies in general, and your note you sent me. So I came down with a list of movies that I love. I didn't realize Stephen King had so many movies that I actually loved. And a lot of them are based upon like his short stories, and a lot of them that I like a lot aren't even horror stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but Shawshank Redemption, that's Stephen King. That's based on a short story of his.
I did know that somewhere in the back of my mind. I probably wouldn't have been able to just throw it out there as one that he's made, but
I wouldn't have known
I know I've heard that before.
I had to do a lot of research for this one before. And then Stand By Me, that's another Stephen King short story. I didn't know it either. The Shining, I think everybody knows that, though I don't think that the movie is a direct adaptation of the book. I think
it's not at all.
Have you read the book of The Shining?
No, I just know that it's not. It's more of like a Kubrick interpretation of the story.
That's what he does.
Because I know Stephen King got like a TV movie version of it made that he wanted to make because it's closer to the book and it didn't do well.
And then one that I watched today while I was doing the show notes, The Mist. That's probably my favorite Stephen King.
Oh, really?
I love that movie. I don't know why I love that movie.
I do not like that movie.
You don't like it at all?
No.
It's like the beginning of, it's in a weird way, it's the beginning of the Walking Dead cast.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, it had, who's the guy that directed the first season? He directed Shawshank Redemption also.
Darabont?
Darabont, Frank Darabont. He directed it. It had, who was the old guy from the first season of The Walking Dead? I want to say Earl, but that's not right at all.
I don't know. I don't watch Walking Dead.
Well, you don't fall in that trap. I'm in that trap right now, to where I'm just so invested in the show. I hate the show, but
you can't bring yourself. To
it's
stop.
just like, nope. I've ridden the train. I'm just riding it to the end of the tracks, man.
Put too much of your life into this.
But it has Carol from the show. It has Andrea from the show. It has a lot of people from the Walking Dead show carried over into from the Mist.
Yeah.
So that's one of my favorites.
It also has Sam Witwer.
Who's that?
He's one of the big, like, Lucasfilm uses him for a lot of. He was Darth Maul on Clone Wars, and he's the Emperor in Rebels now. And
which actor is he though? What does he look like?
I think he plays like a Air Force guy or something in The Mist.
I don't know. I have to go back and look. There's some.
He's on all the Rebel Force radio commentaries, the Star Wars movies. He's just like super, super knowledgeable Star Wars
I'll
guy.
have to take a look at who he is in a little bit. But he also, The Green Mile is also a Stephen King story.
I knew that one.
Misery, that's a great one. That's Stephen King. Carrie, the original, I guess subsequently the remake with the girl from Kick-Ass. Also, Maximum Overdrive. Have you ever seen that?
No.
That is I remember seeing it as a kid. It's a movie where a bunch of all mechanical equipment comes to life because of an asteroid that flies past the Earth and starts killing people. And there's this big semi truck that with the Green Goblin's face in the front of it. But
Optimus Prime.
It's Optimus Prime with the Green Goblin's face in the front. But Stephen King actually developed a drug problem while he directed the movie. And he developed a drug problem while making that movie, cocaine, and that's how that movie became such a fucked up, crazy. That movie is insane. First of all, it has it has an all-star cast. Emilio Estevez. I'd have to go through the list. I don't have that in front of me right now, but it is worth a watch just to sit there and watch the craziest campy 80s movie you ever seen in your life. But he directed it.
I'll have to check it out then.
And it's so crazy just because he was so dependent on cocaine and alcohol during the making of that movie. But other than that, he also made Pet Sematary.
Yeah.
I don't know if he may have directed that one. I'm not sure of that. But that's one of my favorites from my childhood.
Yeah, I haven't watched any of these in probably a decade at least.
I haven't either. I watched The Shawshank Redemption maybe once a year, but other than that, I don't really watch Stephen King movies all that often.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid, I loved the Pet Sematary. Not the second one, but the first one. The second one had Bobby Budnick from Salute Your Shorts in it, if you don't remember that.
I don't think I've seen the second one.
Oh, well, you don't need to. It's fine. Then he also made Cujo. Did you ever see Cujo?
Yeah.
Cujo's a good one. Then there's this one is really I didn't realize this was a Stephen King movie, but I remember seeing it as a kid and it being one of those movies that my mom only watched scary movies when I was a kid, and we'd watch them together. She was into them too, and there was one that was super awkward because it had a lot of sex scenes in it, but there was one between a mom and a son. And so it was one of those things where you're not only embarrassed to be watching sex with your mom, but it's a mom.
The same situation you're sitting in?
Yeah. It's called Sleepwalkers. It's this family where they turn into cats and they eat people. That's a Stephen King movie.
Sounds like a terrible X-Files episode.
Basically that's what it was, an hour and a half long X-Files. It was super sexual incest movie about people who turn into cats and eat people. I remember liking that one, though. I haven't watched it in maybe 20 years.
Movie night.
Yeah. The Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I didn't know that was the Stephen King story.
No, I didn't either.
Yeah. Children of the Corn. That's a classic.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Everyone knows that one.
Firestarter. Drew Barrymore's first movie. Or was it after E.T.? I think it might have been after E.T.
E.T. was 82.
Yes, this had to be after. But it was still when she was young.
Yeah.
She was a little kid during the movie. Have you seen that one?
I don't think so.
It's basically about a girl who can just set things on fire, and she's running away with her dad because the government knows she has superpowers. Like that other movie you were talking to me about the other day, Midnight Special.
Midnight, yeah.
That movie looks fucking awesome.
Yeah, it does. That's what I texted you as. It looks like classic, like 80s Spielberg sci-fi kind of stuff.
It looks so great. It comes out on the 18th of this month, actually. Is that what today you said?
2 weeks.
Yeah, so that's the day that Daredevil comes out, and I had this whole thing set up where I was going to binge watch Daredevil and then do reviews on the show of Daredevil, but now I gotta go watch this movie. I think it looks so damn good. But Stephen King also made. I'm sorry about the dogs again, by the way, but he's going crazy outside. But he also made The Lawnmower Man, which is another.
Yeah, I think I did know that one too.
Pretty sexual virtual reality movie that I watched with my mom.
Sensing a pattern here, Jason.
Yeah, my mom and I watched a lot of sexual movies together when we were a kid. But like we said, there's not a lot going on in the world today, except for Sony news for some reason. We have a bad idea with Spider-Man happening again. It's like they learned nothing from before. We have a bad idea with 21 Jump Street and well, maybe not a bad idea. AJ said it could be good.
Who knows?
And now we have the Dark Tower, which I don't know anything about, so I can't really speak to if I think it's going to be good. But it could be cool. I do think that Hollywood is really grasping at anything that could be interpreted as having a built-in geeky audience. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, they're all just desperate for franchises now.
Yeah.
So anything that already has a brand name, they're going to pour money into.
Yeah, but that's all we really have for this episode. Sorry it's a slow news cycle this time around. If you have any thoughts on anything we've talked about or anything you want us to talk about in the next show, get in touch with us on Facebook or Twitter at mainstreamgeek.com. You can also find us on Instagram by searching for mainstreamgeek.com. You can email me at jason@mainstreamgeek.com. Wait, did I say mainstreamgeek.com for all of those? Just Mainstream Geek if you're finding us on social media. Jason@mainstreamgeek.com if you're emailing me. Make sure you're subscribed on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to, leaving us a rating and review. We also have extra content on YouTube. So make sure you're subscribed to all of that. Also, make sure if you want something a little special for yourself, go to mainstreamgeek.com/nerdblock and help me out while helping yourself out. We'll be back on Wednesday with Brandon. I'm going to go kill some dogs right now because they're barking like crazy and I have no idea why they're doing that. Until then, keep it geeky.